So we've seen how to create strings. Let's see if we can do some operations on them. We've seen logical operations and we've seen mathematical operations. Let's see if we can do some stuff with strings too. Let's look at an example where we want to design a spam robot, something that sends out spam emails, right? So the company that's contracting us has a little template. They want to sell pet rocks, and the spam email that they want to send is, hello, first name, last name, would you be interested in purchasing a pet rock? And they want us to write a program that allows us to build this string that we can then send to people without any cause, really. Right? So how can we do this? We've seen how to create strings, but we kind of need to sandwich some strings together in this case. We need to take hello, then we need to put in a name and a last name, and then put that last bit, would you be interested in purchasing a pet rock, at the end, right? So we might have some variables to represent my first name and last name and get this kind of answer, right? So what we can do is we can actually use what's called the string concatenation operator. And the string concatenation operator is the plus sign. It's an operator on strings that allows us to take two strings, hello in this case, plus world, and it results in the string hello world. And you notice there's no spaces here. There was no space in hello and there's no space in world, and the string concatenation operator doesn't know what these things say, so it doesn't know there should be a space there, and it just smushes them together. So you might say, this is the addition operator, right? And really we're kind of adding strings, but what is happening in the machine is that it looks at both sides of the addition operator, it looks at both sides of the plus, and if numbers are on both sides, then it's the addition operator, and it does a numerical operation. If it's a string on both sides, then it's the concatenation operator. So really what the context of the variables of the operation are defines its function in this case. If it's numbers, it's the addition operator. If it's strings, it's the concatenation operator. It works on variables of string types too. So I can do something like first name equals Ryan, and I can do last name equals Muth, and then I can add them together. First name plus last name will concatenate them together, and you can see that the operation evaluates the variables first, replacing them with the strings at the contents of those variables, and then concatenates them together, right? Now, we can't mix strings with numerical values by default, right? So let's try this out, right? So if I have, let's call a new variable called banana count, and set it equal to 10, and then I want to say something like, let's do a notification. Actually, let's just do this. We'll say, I have say I have, we put a space there. I want to add banana count. Then I want to add a trailer here. Another space, bananas, wahaha. Right? So when I try to execute this, we might expect this to say, I have 10 bananas, wahaha, right? But the computer really doesn't like it. And the reason why is listed right here. It says, it's basically confused, right? When we get to the I have plus banana count is an integer. And the operator addition doesn't know what to do with it. It's got a string on one side and an integer on the other, and it's confused about whether it should be doing string concatenation or it should be doing numerical addition, right? So to fix this, we can cast that operation, right? So I can say I have add. I want to cast the banana count as a string, so I do str banana count, then add the trailer wahaha, right? So now I get the string, I have 10 bananas, mwahaha, right? So when we get into problems like this, that's how we deal with it. So let's go back to our example. Here's our problem template. We want to write a solution that allows us to take the string, allows us to create a string, hello, input the first name, space, input the last name, comma, would you be interested in purchasing a pet rock, right? So we're going to take four different pieces here. We want to split it up into a leader, which is the greeting, the first name, last name, would you be interested in a pet rock? So we've already got the first name and last name variables combined. And we're going to create another one called message, right? That'll hold all of our values. Before that, we also want to define our leaders. We're going to be reusing the hello and the would you be interested in purchasing a pet rock all the time. And this will also help us keep things clear. So we'll define a leader variable called hello with a space because we want to put that there to make sure that it leads in front of the first name. So that's where that one is going to go. And then we'll have a trailer. Would you be interested in purchasing a pet rock, right? Now we can start to put these together. We'll create a message that is equal to the leader, hello, plus first name, plus last name following our template, plus our trailer, right? That's pretty simple. Leader, first name, last name, trailer. And we can use this for any first name and any last name, something like that, right? Now let's look at what message looks like to make sure that we did it right. We look at message, it says, hello Ryan Muth, would you be interested in purchasing a pet rock? Right, and we're missing something here, right? There should be a space in between the first name and the last name. Remember that the concatenation operator doesn't add spaces, so we have to do that ourselves, right? So when we do message, we do leader plus first name plus last name. Whoops, we want to add in a space, literally add in a space. Then add last name, then the trailer. And now when we look at message, it should be exactly what we were hoping for. Now, there's some caveats here. You'll notice that I've been using double quotes. I can also use single quotes to define strings. So I could do something like, hello world, in single quotes, and it defines a string for us. But if I mix them up, it's going to get confused because the marker tells us where to start the string, the double quotes tell us where to start the string, and it's going to look for a matching double quote at the end of the string. So it got to the end of the line without finding that double quote, which is really confusing.